Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is MarqueeCrew, and I'd like to go and solve a problem on the Alteryx community and have you participate with me in that endeavor. In the Alteryx community, people post problems or challenges on a regular basis around the clock. And fortunately, there are people that are monitoring the community, trying to help people out in solving those challenges. Now, it's not just a matter of people asking questions and people solving problems. It's really a community of questions and answers working together. The question that you asked before might be something that somebody has a question about today, and they're able to look at your question and the resolution to that question and be able to get the answer that they need without actually going through the question and answer process. So, as a knowledge base, you're contributing to the knowledge base, and if you happen to look at a post or intend to look at a post and think, hey, I would have solved that differently, there's no reason why you wouldn't add that to the post. So if you're looking for a solution or you're looking to just test, hey, can I figure out some of this stuff for other people? If you do something a different way than I do, it may be a better way to explain that to a colleague, a friend, a peer than the way that I've answered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at a post. I'm going to talk to you about that, and let's put a post resolution or potential solution together to help somebody out. So with that being said, let's switch over to my Chrome browser and see what I've got there for us. In this post, it's a rather brief post, certain dates. P. Lewis 1 will tag you in this. Good morning, Alteryx community. I am wanting to only pull certain dates. I am building 2 reports within my one Alteryx flow. The first report, I only want February 2019 through January 2020. The next report, February 20 to present. What formula do I put in the filter tool to get those results? That's a trick question. I think we've got a trick question here. You've got 2 periods, but the data might exist from a third period. So it could be before 2019. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and just copy what the person posted here, and I'm going to go to a almost blank, it's an Alteryx template, and I'm going to paste that text here into the template so that when I'm in Alteryx I can see what that post was. I'll also come back to this in its certain dates. And what I'm going to do is go back to Alteryx, and I'm going to file, save my solution, and I'm going to go to my downloads and to my Alteryx challenges, and I'm going to make this certain dates. So now I've got a workflow ready to build, but I have no data. No data was given, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up some data, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put an ID field here, and I'm going to create a few records of data, and here I'm going to use a field that I'm going to call certain date, and I'm going to put in a old date, and so we'll put in 10/23/2019, but that's not the way that Alteryx looks at dates. So it's possible that they're going to have dates that aren't in the right format. I don't know that they've got dates in the right format, but I've decided I'm going to put them into Alteryx format, which is year, month, day. And then in this, I only want February 2019. That first date is in 2019, so let's change that to 2018. So we skipped that one. And then I'm going to make 2019-01-31, the day before their intended date, 2019-02-01, the cutoff date, 2019-15, or we'll make it Valentine's Day, 14, oh, I'm sorry, 2019-02-14, Valentine's Day. And through January 2020, so I'm going to go 2020-01-31. We'll add another record in there for 2020-02-01. And today's date is 2020-06-19. That is Juneteenth here in the States. So I have 7 records ready to come into this solution. So he's got what formula? Formulas in his terminology, I believe, are expressions. And I'm going to show 2 ways to be able to go and do this. The first way is to use a filter tool. And what I want to do is I want to eliminate the certain dates that come before sorry for the pause there. I'm trying to not miss February 1st, 2019. So this is going to get rid of anything outside of the time frame. Then I'm going to use another tool and in fact I'm going to switch that. I want to use the true statement here. So I'm going to say is greater than or equal to that date. Now I've got everything that I want that's going to come after that date. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this tool. I'm going to look at my input. We haven't run this yet. And I'm going to press the run key. And I do get an error on this new tool. But on this tool, I've got my input of 7 records and my output of 5 records. What I didn't see in the output from the true anchor, I'm switching over to the false anchor, were those earlier dates. So I've now tested, and I know I've only got February 2019 and forward. Now, I can take that tool, which a certain date is greater than or equal to 2019-02-01. That's a pretty good description. I'm not going to change it, but if I did want to change it, I could change the annotation here in the tool by pressing the tag. And let's just do that. Get rid of records before 2019-02-01. So now I've annotated that tool with something other than an expression. Now in this process, I can say I wanted dates if I wanted to. Now I've gotten rid of everything before that date. I can either write an expression that's custom or a basic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the basic filter, select certain dates, and I'm going to look at anything that happens before 2020. So I'm going to say is less than February 1st, 2020. So what's less than February 2020 is going to come out the true, and 2020 forward is going to be in the false. So I might say here in the annotation, true is equal to Feb 2019 to Jan 2020, F equals Feb 2020 onward. So I've now given a description to the data that's going to come through this process and this process. I'm going to right click on that tool. I'm going to add all browses. I'm going to take those browses and move them a little bit off to the right, and I'm going to run the workflow. In the first set of data, I see the first date of 2019, February 1st through January 31st. And down here in the false, I've now got February 1st onward. So at this point, I believe I've solved the problem. I just want to make sure that we're going to know that this data that's up here is going to go into another process. And so I'm going to add to container, and I'm going to change my container's transparency. It's a little bit dark there, and I don't like a margin. I'm going to change the caption, put logic for first report here. And I'm going to do the same thing here, add to new container, put logic for second report here, change the transparency, none. And I can now adjust again and make this prettier. I could add a container here, and this is limit records to reporting periods, transparency 75, none. And I'm control clicking both of these and moving them off to the side. Now, we have an alternative method, I said. The word formula was there, and I've got two filters. I could write a formula here, and I'm going to create reporting period as the output column. And we've got potentially 3 sets of reporting periods. So I'm going to say, I'm going to use an if statement. If certain date is less than 2020-02-01, then I'm going to set that to null. Else if, and I'm going to change this just to line up here a little bit cleaner, certain date is less than 20, I'm sorry, this is 2019. I made that mistake before. 2020-02-01, then this is a string, so I'm going to put my answer here, 1 in quotes. Else 2. Now, it was, the next report is 2020 to present. So in the data, I've gotten rid of everything that was before February 1st, 2019, theoretically, because I've made it null. If it's in reporting period 1, it's going to be less than 2020-0201, and otherwise it's 2. So I don't need to put in specific logic that it's after that date because everything is going to be in that range. Now that I've done that, I could use a filter and look at that reporting period, and at that point I could filter on this formula to know where the data should go. Now, a reason why I could pull out those null records here, maybe the reporting period is not null. If for some reason I wanted all this data logic together in one set of logic instead of 2 sets of logic, at this point my response to him would have all of those records coming through, and an indicator as to which reporting period they're in. So I'm going to assume that he wants to separate the logic. It's at least easier on the eye. But if he wanted to be able to always keep the data together, he could use a solution like this. He could always use a union tool here and bring that data back together in the future wherever he needed to. Or if he's truly just writing a report, he'll never bring the data back together, and this first solution is better. So I've thought of another way to do it. I think it makes sense if he needed it, but his question really didn't ask for that. And I'm going to at least mask this by putting it into a add to new container. I'm going to change the color of that container and possible alternative solution. Keep data together. And I like my transparencies 75 and none. And I'm going to bring this down here, and I'm going to disable it. Almost done. What do I need to do next? I need to file, save. So I've got this again. And then what I'm going to do, which is going to be difficult because I'm recording using Snagit, I would typically then screen print this screen, and so I'm not going to screen print because I'm recording using the same application that I would be screen printing. Let's return back to certain dates. This is no longer 29 seconds ago. I'm hitting refresh. I'm not going to be discouraged. I hope somebody else has answered this. Tableau has. P. Lewis, I attached the workflow at the bottom if you don't mind looking over and making sure everything else looks professional. I wanted to put both reports together. I have an opportunity to look at this. I'm going to put a reply in here. At P. Lewis. Hi. Let's be polite. Thanks for the post. I'm using it for a YouTube opportunity to answer the community. We've answered your post with a skeleton. I don't know why I'm whispering now. We've answered your post with a skeleton workflow to demonstrate the separation of a single source of data into two processes within one workflow. Please check it out. Exclamation, exclamation. Okay. Cheers. Mark. Drag and drop or browse files to attach. That seems like a good idea. I will browse and I will come up here to my quick access and certain dates should be there. Open and post. Now we'll see the community post is now going to update. By the way, you're seeing accept as a solution here. That's a little bit special. I've been granted community privileges to take in and mark other people's solutions as accepted. And I'm going to download PO summarized YXMD, do not move YXMD, and I'm going to open up that workflow. And lo and behold, we see his workflow. Very close to what I thought we might have. And I want to point out a couple of opportunities here. Now, I'm sure that Tableau is going to be making changes just like I am. I'm doing a few things to this workflow. As I'm looking at it, I would like the tools to align, and I'm moving things around. I'm doing it in a fairly manual manner. And I'm seeing something as I'm touching the tools, I'm looking at them, and I'm seeing patterns of what they're doing. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to add to this already long post and show you that when you attach a workflow, this is looking at this drive and the data isn't really present. And so if you ever do want to export a workflow and include real data in it, what you'll need to do is go up to Options, Export Workflow, and you'll be able to include the files, which aren't showing up here because I don't know where those files are. And they'll be able to include these files in, you could just check the boxes for what you're looking for. So that would be one thing that I notice. Another is that they're using the data cleansing tool. And in the data cleansing tool, they're deleting leading and trailing white space on all fields. And I already see that they've got multi-field formulas that are present. So maybe what they would like to do is take these fields and use a multi-field formula instead of the data cleansing tool to go and remove the white space. That's a trim function, TRIM. Otherwise, this structure is the logic that he would use. The other change would be you could take that same single source and bring it into two filters. I could go a little bit further, and in reading here, the inspection create date for, he's got 2019. I would probably change that to the inspection create date is less than a specific date. So this is getting rid of that first set of data and then going like that. So he was really close. And in his date, he's doing a inspection create date equals date time add date time now minus 7 days. So what he's actually doing is he's looking for something that's less than 7 days. So it's more than 7 days old and it's in this time frame. Otherwise, it's not in the most, this is the most recent 7 days, and it's going to come through this process. So he had simplified the problem, I think, for the purpose of the post, knowing that he already had the filters in right. So I'm going to actually just leave my post the way it is. Let's take a quick gander back at certain dates. We'll refresh. And so far, nothing has occurred as far as any of these being read or liked or accepted. So let us do this. Let us like P. Lewis's post. Tableau didn't solve yet. Do you have a sample of your data set so we can help you better? Let's give him a like too because he participated. And then P. Lewis put that post there. And I'm going to reply once more to P. Lewis on that post. And I'm going to say at P. Lewis as at Tableau requested, you replied with a YXMD file. Unfortunately, it doesn't include the real data. Nonetheless, I think nonetheless is multiple words. Nonetheless, I do think that the approach given in my skeleton will work for you. I was pleased to see your filters and how you used the date time diff function. It is consistent with our solution. You only need to read the input file once, and you can use the last filter for separating the data. Cheers, Mark. P.S. If you ever want to export real data, please use option export workflow. I think it's export workflow, and check the boxes for your inputs. And post. So that's a complete posting, including the use of liking other people's posts. You can't like your own. So as much as I like what I've typed, I can't like myself. That is a requirement for you. So have a great day, and maybe we'll meet again.